Now, first step in doing this is you need to take everything off your bike. Now, I've already done that. I've taken off my saddlebag, my computer mount, just the basics like that. Next, we actually have to get into cleaning the actual bike. So what you need to do this is, first off, you need a bucket, put your water and soap in, and next you need some tools to clean it. Now this is the Gear Cleaner GSC1 from Park Tools. It's my personal favorite for cleaning the drivetrain because it's so easy to use. You can just get right in there, in between the cogs, and you got this brush on this side. Now that is great for the actual cassette. My preference for the chain is a toothbrush. Now, yeah, a lot of people use this. You can get a Park Tools gear chain cleaner that is a lot easier to use, but you can just do it by hand with this and it's a lot cheaper. Now, I also like to have a wired brush. I mean, you can get these, I got this one for free, so you can get them just about anywhere. And they're really easy to use, and again, it's for the cassette, just to get in there. If you get any grime you just can't get out with the softer bristle things. Next, for the frame, I like to use a sponge. Now, basically all sponges work. You could use paper towels, but my preference is the sponge. Now, I like to use, in the bucket, I already said we gotta put soap in there for the frame and other components for cleaning. I like to use Dawn's Ultra dish soap. Now this is not biodegradable. I thought it was, but it just claims that it helps save wildlife, which maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, I don't know. But anyways, I have that in a squirt bottle for easier use on the frame. And I also have the BioBike biodegradable water-based concentrate from Squirt. Now, I've not used this before. I'm going to try it out today and I'll tell you what I think. Once we're done, I'm going to need my favorite chain lube, which just happens to be Squirt long-lasting dry lube, because here in California, it's dry, you need the dry lube. So, there we go. Once we're done, we'll let it air dry, and then use these on the fork stanchions and things like that. Well, we'll use these before it air dries, but anyways, let's get into the actual work. So, let's go.
The first thing you need to do is get out of that bucket, fill it up with water and some dish soap, making sure you've got plenty of dish soap in there. Next, get the soap nice and steady with the water. After you've done that, spray over the whole bike with a gentle spray, making sure not to get the bottom bracket, the hubs, any of the moving parts with bearings in them, because then it'll get full of water and it will not function properly. So, once you've completely sprayed over the whole frame with the gentle spray of water to get that first load of dirt off, now you take your sponge and you clean the whole frame with the sponge with the dish soap, making sure to get the rear triangle, the down tube, the seat stay, the top tube. You can clean your fork, get your cranks, all of the areas, basically your whole bike except your drivetrain. Now you want to flip the bike and do the other side of the bike as well, making sure again to get everywhere, including the cranks and back in the rear of the seat stay. That's a place that's often missed. Next, you want to go around and clean both your tires with plenty of dish soap, making sure to get all of them. You can clean the spokes if you want. That's a bit of a tedious task, cleaning each one. But it is a good, at least try to get the rims. Flip the bike over, do the same on the other side. This does take a bit of time, but it'll make your tires look really nice. And while you're at it, check both tires for wear. See if you might have, if you're running tubes, you might have a slash in the sidewall you haven't noticed yet. If you're running tubeless, you'll definitely notice that already. Will have noticed that already. Make sure again to get both tires. Move the tires around so you can get right where the fork's blocking. That's just one thing you can do to make sure you've gotten both tires and rims. Next, you're going to take your Park Tools bike cleaner. Your Squirt BioBike and your Park Tools tool, the one that I already showed you guys and showed you about earlier in this video. And now you're going to do the basics of just a brief cleaning through the drivetrain. I like to put the brush between the rear derailleur and part of the rear triangle. That way you can just spin the cranks and you'll get the whole thing. Now go over the chain with the toothbrush, making sure to get as much of the dirt off as possible. Again, you can use either the dish soap or the BioBike, both optional. but try to get the rollers, get the back of the chain, get underneath the chain. I already said there's tools that can do this for you, but you can also take 2 toothbrushes, tape them together, and put that over your chain and use that. That works just as well, supposedly. I've never actually tried it. I can't vouch for it, but that supposedly works just as well. But right now, I'm going to stick with my single toothbrush just so that I can get every single bit of the chain. My preference is to start at one master link, at the master link, and work your way to the master link again, making sure you've got the whole chain over. Next, take one of your brushes, clean your rear derailleur, making sure to get the jockey wheels and the spring itself. Get the whole thing as clean as possible. This is really easily done with the toothbrush or the Park Tools Gear Clean, or even the wire bristle brush if you want. It all works for this. Make sure you got the back of it. Now we're going to clean the whole frame over again, making sure this time if you see any smudges you've missed, you might see something down on the down tube. Oh look, there's a little bit of dirt. Or right underneath where the bottom bracket goes, you might see a bit of dirt down there. So if you missed it the first time through, you can see it the second time through. So once you clean one side, clean the other side over again. You don't have to turn the bike around. Now we're going to rinse the whole bike off with the water. Again, using gentle water, getting as much of the soap off as possible. I'm going to go in. I like to use my hand when I'm doing this just because I feel the bike. I can see, oh look, there's a new scratch there I haven't seen yet, or there's a dent in my frame, or there's a dent in my rim. Hopefully not in my frame, but just get it, and if there's streaks you can get it, just rub it right off with your hand. Now when cleaning off all the soap out of the drivetrain, I like to pedal backwards so that I can get the whole thing. Flip the bike over, do the same thing on the other side. I like to get into disc brakes, the rotors, the actual pads themselves. And again, I'm using my hand on basically everything except the brakes. Now I'm going to take my wire bristle brush and I'm going to take off the chain and I'm going to clean the chainring itself, get as much gunk out of there as possible. Next, I am going to put the chain back on and I am going to clean the whole drivetrain. This time we're going to do a really thorough job, not just brief. We're trying to get as much of the stuff off as we possibly can. I like to start at the top and work my way down the cassette. While you're doing this, you can scrub the chain as well. By this point, I've swapped back over to my Park Tools Gear Clean, and it's definitely doing the job. You can get almost everything off with that. No, you can get it all off if you wanted to spend that much time. But anyways, it's just very useful. Keep spraying on the bio bike, or you can use the dish soap. They both work pretty well. But again, I'm spinning the cranks backwards, getting the whole drivetrain going from the top with my biggest chain ring. I'm going down to my cog. My biggest cog, and I'm going down to my smallest cog. And at one point you are going to need to shift the bike into a different gear so that you can get the cog that your chain is in right now. That way you won't have the whole bike looking nice and clean, but there's one cog that's just an utter mess. So keep working your way down. It takes a while. It's a tedious task, but it's worth it just because the bike is so clean and it works so much better. So keep going. Now at this point you're going to go back, you're going to do the chain again, trying to get any more off, because at this point everything from the drivetrain is basically as clean as you're going to get it. So since we're doing everything twice, do one final rinse and then let the bike dry in the sun.
Alright, now that the bike is dry enough, we can put on our lube. I already said that my favorite lube is this Squirt long-lasting dry chain lube. Now the directions say, apply to dry chain. Shake well and apply inside the chain while turning cranks. Do not wipe off. For best results, allow a few minutes to dry in wet condition. It is important to allow lube to dry completely. Initial application, remove factory grease, yada yada yada. Okay, so according to it, we just shake it up. Okay, nice and shaken. Now, apply to the inside of the chain. I know a lot of people will apply it right here on the top, but personally, I put it down here. Don't know why, that's just my preference. We have now worked our way back to the master link. Now, put the chain back on, the cap on, the lube back on, not the chain back on. The chain's already on.
Alright, make sure that your clutch is turned on. Mine is. Now, while we're waiting for the lube to dry, we go ahead and put back on everything we took off, such as our saddlebag, strap that back up, get it back on. Okay, and we can put back on our cycling computer mount if we have it. Alright, so we're still waiting for the lube to dry, and it's time to come back to what I said at the beginning of the video, and that was that I was going to be testing out the Squirt BioBike and to see whether or not I liked it better than the Dawn's dish soap. You know, and I decided that for the drivetrain cleaning, BioBike is definitely better. Just simply, I think, because it was designed to degrease drivetrains. It just works better. For the frame, I think they're about the same. Now, I was not the one who purchased the BioBike or the Dawn's dish soap, so I cannot give you a direct price comparison right now, but I can say that you use a lot of Dawn's dish soap when you're putting it in there. So, I mean, when I started, I think it was up to here or something, so I use a good chunk of dish soap. Now, I didn't use all of it, but you can't reuse it. That's the nice part about the BioBike, is if you put it in a spray bottle, it can just sit there and you can just use it whenever you need to. So, I'd say it's a draw. Alright, the wait's over, the lube's finally dry, the bike's all nice and clean, but you know what, I got a problem with it. It's too clean. So let's change that. Let's go riding.